Hello and welcome back to Everybody Loves Raiken, our 5th edition live play that meets every Tuesday night. We're finally through the holidays and it is now 2023. We're starting a little late just because everybody needed to kind of get back in, figure out some computer stuff, and, get back together after our 2-3 weeks of being off during the holidays. So, jumping into it, when we last met, episode 150, the final episode of 2022, a couple things had happened. The party had a chance to speak with Tatsuya, and then his second-in-command, Thandros, who is Vendar's brother, and then finally with with Dale, the half-elf warlock, who had been serving Zephyr, and attacked the party with 9 of his friends, and failed to defeat them, though many of them were extracted from this losing battle by Zephyr himself. So that left the party with 2 captives, Dale and Chip. Chip decided he did not want to betray Zephyr and become hunted as Leah is, and so Tatsuya ordered him away from his precious army that will fight the dragons. He jumped into the ocean and swam off. The party then dealt with Dale. Yeah, it's Chip and Dale. Leah Eliza has named them. They spoke with Dale, who seems to very much view himself as a mercenary, and felt that upon seeing the party overcome all of Zephyr's warlocks just like that, that he should probably trade up, and convinced Leah to put him in contact with Zephyr, after which he made a deal, apparently, and became a warlock of Zintharamil. I think I said Zephyr again. I meant Zintharamil. Gosh. Z names. Zintharamil.
You did it to yourself.
I did. I did it on purpose. I wanted there to be this common letter between the two. Way back. Anyway, story for another day. The discussion with Tatsuya was definitely a heated one, as he and Vendar mostly talked about their individual strategies going into this, dealing with the dragons. Tatsuya also laid upon them the knowledge that their timeline is more constrained than he seems to think they believe it is, letting them know that the dragons are slowly convincing their broods to support them against any attempt to kill them. And so the longer the party waits to confront them, the more dragons they will have to fight. And Vendar pointed out that in the absence of larger armies, being that some of Tatsuya's actions and some other things going on in the world have severely reduced the individual nations' standing armies, that they're forced to work together, conceding that that they will have to combine their efforts with Tatsuya's. Tatsuya invited them to share a meal, and in the meantime, Thandros had a second discussion with them, eventually convincing them not to go join the campfires, as he believes it would be Tatsuya's plan to use his very large army and their oppressive proximity to coerce the party to do things his way. But discussed with them, especially because of the influence of Leah in the situation, the possibility of a third option outside of seal the dragons, destroy Tiamat, Instead, they might be able to work with some of the dragons while destroying ones they could not. And so, we rejoin the party after the impactinating of Dale, and as Thandros has gone to rejoin the army and let the party think over the information that Tatsuya gave them. So, after Leah, you welcomed Dale to the family, as it were, the warlocks of Zintharamil, he's going to say, well, I have a few things I need to take care of here, but I've already been given my first assignment. And he's going to look upon you for a moment before saying, the dragons are a problem, but Zintharamil needs somebody directly focusing on Zephyr and his warlocks, so I'm going to do that, seeing as I already have a lot of information in that regard.
That sounds wise. It takes a little strain away from me as well. Having to worry about two world-ending deities at the same time is difficult.
At the risk of ruining it, I am going to point out that it's interesting to me how quickly you trust me.
Oh. Just be assured that the trust you see on the outside might not match the trust on the inside.
Well, no, that's fair. I just, well, it was a different feeling from joining with Zephyr. Anyway, I'm glad you're not a fool. You should always carefully vet every situation.
Well, I learned a few things through this travel with this party. Mistakes have been made, but we all grow from them.
Hard to believe you're just a kid.
Sometimes I don't really believe it myself.
Anyway, we weren't given all of that information, necessarily. It certainly wasn't stressed to us that it was a child Zephyr's hunting.
Really?
Not that it
What
was
that would be
hidden. We were given a description. But, you know, you're told it's small and young. You go, well, there's no way a kid pissed off a god, right? It's less that we weren't told and more that it was hard to believe. He looks you up and down and says, still is.
I probably wouldn't believe it either.
Well, suffice to say, it puts a bad taste in my mouth hunting a kid anyway, so I'm glad to not have to do that anymore.
So am I. Better to have you on my side than against me.
He nods at that. Says, honestly, after the licking you gave us, likewise. In any event, you all have a lot to take care of, and I don't want to be a distraction, so thank you for the chance to change the course of my life.
Luck with your endeavors.
Well, I think I've got an edge in this one, but I appreciate it. I certainly am not going up against idiots, just People whose eyes are bigger than their stomach. Clunky, but I think you know what I mean.
Thermendous nods.
Anyway, if you don't mind, I'll excuse myself. Please explain to the commander that I'm with you now.
We will.
Okay. I'm gonna he like points toward the docks. That I'll be over that way for just a little bit, and then I'll be out of here.
I'll be seeing you around.
As you say that, as he walks away, he kind of turns back, stepping backwards, and like gives you a one finger gun and says, "Probably." You see him go and sit down by the docks. He looks to be performing a ritual. And you see him take out some incense and begin burning it. You've had a discussion with Tatsuya, and then with Thandros. You've been given a couple perspectives on this conflict. Tatsuya reminding you that the dragon's strength is growing, and that there is a time span within which you need to defeat the dragons for your plan to work, which maybe you knew, maybe you didn't know, but he clearly feels you didn't know, so he seemed like he was pointing this out like a gotcha, like, hey, you really need to take this into consideration because you don't have as much time as you think you do, so you need to reformulate your plan. So as you get into that discussion, which I encourage you to start talking about, I'm gonna grab Cyrus here for a second, pull him aside.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
So, you've been gone a while. Welcome back, first of all. Just as we discussed before, the curse yoinked you away, and so the curse is going to plop you back in.
Alright.
Just like other curses you're familiar with, it just is going to keep you with the party wherever they are. That time is just gone. You have no knowledge of anything that transpired in between. It was blink and you miss it, right? So
Yep.
One moment you're in Everwatch, and now you're going to be appearing on this. It's not really a beach. It's kind of a sandy area that was a beach where a dock has been, like a big jetty, a big, what do I want to say, a wharf has been built. There are a bunch of ships here as you appear, and the party's going to be all around you. So to the east is going to be like hundreds of ships. They're not represented in Tailspire because Tailspire doesn't have easy ships, and I don't want to build them.
Yeah, ships are hard to do in town.
Yeah, and their dock stuff is, I haven't worked with it much, so I didn't deal with it because it wasn't going to be necessary for the battle. More or less. So, just imagine that there is an elaborate dock to the west here and kind of all around. It's a city. This is a city. The buildings are constructed of sandstone and stucco. So kind of like clayish looking buildings, some of them multi-story. And a lot of them damaged and several destroyed. It looks like a big battle happened here. It is reminiscent of being in Tuka after Shisharan attacked and was just melting buildings left and right with her acid.
Okay.
That's what you're going to be seeing as you pop out of this.
Well, then I know what my first question's gonna be.
Yes. Other than that, the horizon seems to be all ocean. As you look out, like, maybe you can see, like, this little slice right as the ocean meets the sky that's, like, darker and a little bit jagged, like, distant shores. Maybe mountains way off, but, like, you are... It's pretty much water as far as you can see that isn't the city and the boats. There are several dead bodies around. And, oh yeah, between, like, among the buildings, not so far away that it would be hard to get to, but far enough away that they're not an immediate threat, is just this massive army of people, a couple thousand people at least. And they are all bivouacked here. You can see tents, you can see campfires. They're all talking and sharing a meal is what you see when you appear.
Alright.
Okay, I think that kind of gets through everything you're going to see when you appear. I'm going to go back there and describe your appearance to them. I'm going to leave you in here, and then you're going to appear. Basically, all you know is that you were in Everwatch,
And now I'm not.
and suddenly everything's different. So I'm going to go back there.
It would technically be Overwatch, but it'd be, very flat now.
Yeah, like, you know, you'd been down to the docks area in Everwatch, and you know that when you turned to the east, you saw the island rising above you, jutting up, and then the unmistakable Dawn Spire just standing over it all. And now you're looking east, and you're looking at the docks. You feel like, from the position of the sun, that it's late in the day, and that means that way is west. Like, you get this sense. You're outside, you have enough survival skill to be able to go, wait a minute. There's not a beach on the east side of Everwatch.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to go back in there, and after a few seconds I'm going to pull you in, okay?
Sounds good.
Alright, be right back. Or, you'll be right back.
Probably be said in character now that Tristan's back.
Well, everything was covered. You covered everything you discussed, right?
I believe so.
Okay.
It's been a while, though. So
It has been a while, so we'll be able to discuss it a little bit. Okay, so as Dale heads off and begins performing his ritual, and you see that they're at dinner, you begin to lapse into this discussion, trying to catch yourselves up and get on this topic of how are we going to deal with the dragons and how do we want to deal with the army. As whatever it is your discussion is, you start to talk about this, and then suddenly you hear this squelching, followed by just this, like, groan, which becomes a long and drawn-out shriek. And as you look around, you start to you finally notice that nearby, like, portions of a skeleton have appeared near you, and just meat is slowly, like, sliding out of another dimension and planting itself on the bones as this body is being built near you. And you see that the body is just, as the skull forms and the other organs are being placed in their right places, the mouth is just open and screaming. And after several seconds of this horrifying sight, it is Cyrus who is just eyes blank, face expressionless, screaming, and then it suddenly stops. His mouth closes, he looks straight forward and blinks. I'm going to grab a token. I'm going to grab his token.
Well, that is perhaps the most disturbing thing I have seen all year.
Hey!
That actually took me a second.
It's doing that dumb thing again. Hold on. I have to find his
Big little
token.
fun there.
Yeah, it's being stupid. Shift. It does this thing. It doesn't like it when I've built... Apparently it doesn't like it when I built the map very far away from the ground. Okay, I'm going to pull him in. He appears. He is not flying. Okay, and now he is just expressionless and motionless and soundless as he blinks and looks around at you. Alright, Cyrus. You appear, you are surrounded by the party. Party, I would like you to describe your expressions as you are all turned toward him as he appears.
There's a greenish tinge to Laramendus's face that isn't usually there. just horror on it.
Nikikaze has a very puzzled look on his face.
Vendar's covering Squeaker's eyes.
Squiggers is like pulling one of Vendar's fingers away to to like look
The eye-
through it.
The eyes just wordless.
Raiken's just going like, he's just staring. He's like, "What the fuck, man?"
What? But well, we'll get to that. Did I miss it?
Did you miss? Did you miss what?
Are the dragons dealt with? Like, I'm seeing lots of destruction. Some possibly friendly faces.
Well, I don't know what you went through, but unfortunately, no.
It's been like a day. You disappeared like yesterday.
Oh, good. Not long then.
Hold up, before anything. When did we first meet? Like, where did we first meet?
In the Shirakawa? Yeah, that's it. Those were the turtle racing.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
The palace specifically came looking for you guys.
And why were you looking for us?
To join you.
My turtle race?
No. This.
Yeah.
So, okay. Then what just happened? You're all looking at me funny, asking strange questions.
I just had to be sure it's you.
Did that not hurt?
Did what hurt?
You were screaming and reverse melting, or reverse
Yeah, like
deconstruction.
your skeleton appeared, and then your meaty bits, and the whole while it looked like you were screaming in just horrific pain.
That sounds quite interesting. No, it seems our friend has quite the sense of humor.
That's one way to put it.
Yep.
So you didn't feel anything.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well,
Maybe he
that's
just doesn't
good.
remember it.
So you just traumatized us for nothing.
I didn't do
Great.
anything.
Well, our
I have
friends
zero
did
control
them.
over this whatsoever. If it's that bad, I'm sure Lair has modified memory at some point.
I suppose I could wish for that effect. Yes.
So, we cool with these guys? What's the general state of things?
We are on Storm Refile, and that is Tatsuya's army.
That's what I'd guessed. So again, we friendly, not so friendly.
Things were tense.
It's tentative.
I think they're still a bit tense.
Should
They're not
I be
actively
expected
hostile.
to get stabbed in my sleep?
I think if you're going to get stabbed, you will not have the luxury of falling asleep first.
Well, at least they're polite about it.
Yeah, that's the upside, I guess. Silver linings, optimism.
So, if it wasn't the dragons that did this, he says, just kind of gesturing around at the large-scale destruction.
A lot of
What
it
happened?
was Elsaminth. This is where he, or at least close to where he had been sealed, and so this island did not fare well upon his release. The more recent destruction is due to a kraken, which has since fled.
Excuse me, a what?
Kraken.
I cast minor illusion, the cantrip. So basically, just I didn't see the body of it, so I don't like whatever I saw of it. I have like on the ground as if the ground was the water.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
It's like
gotcha. So
nature.
you're only doing like the tentacles on the top of the creature that you saw.
Yeah.
Big tentacly sea monster.
You just gotta
Is
think.
it like a giant aboleth, or
It's
What's a
like
crack?
if a dragon lived in the ocean.
Some
With many,
Ew.
with many tentacles.
ugh.
A water dragon with tentacles.
It was kind of like it was intelligent and could telepath to people and wanted to eat us all.
So, out of curiosity, did we teleport here? Boat here?
It teleported. And we
teleported.
landed in the ocean,
All the
about
above.
500 feet off the coast. That's where we ran into the Kraken, and then we lit it here.
Hey, did I see it? Because I was down in the water with it.
Did you see it? Yeah, you have a pretty good idea of what the whole thing looks like. You were a water
Okay.
elemental at the time.
So I'll cast Minor Illusion and show what it looked like from my
Okay.
perspective.
Ugh.
Oh, that's worse.
Put that away. Please put that away.
Yeah, it's big, you know, your minor illusion is hand-sized, but, you know, you kind of, as much as you can, emphasize that it is a big fish with a giant mouth, eyes over the top of its head, and then these trailing tentacles that can rise up and attack things above the surface. I imagine you also make them crackle with lightning, because, like, who doesn't want a lightning fish?
So, is this like
Me.
purple worm sized or bigger?
It was pretty big.
You know that it was bigger.
Very big.
Well, good work. Sorry I missed it. Well, okay, let's be honest. I'm not sorry, but I am sorry I did not help keep you alive.
I mean, we did
The-
live.
The army was very well prepared with many. Are we calling them magic grenades? What's the term for them? Spell grenades, spell bombs.
I like spell bombs.
Spellnades.
What did there was a label in Garland, right, Tristan?
Alright, these were called single-use elemental grenades.
The army was well prepared with a large amount of the single-use elemental grenades.
Sugs for short.
Raiken.
I would assume that they have access to some mages from the guild who had the knowledge to produce them.
Those got in production fast.
Roll history.
Alright.
Me or him?
Both of you.
Okay,
Anybody. All of you.
I'm good at that one. Sometimes I'm never. I that was well. I mean, it's still 21.
The funny thing is, you probably
You rolled a
lower than I
3.
did.
I rolled a 7.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you
Arcana
actually
is
did
my one
roll
with a
lower than
20.
me.
Okay. Sorry.
Let's see. History. That's a 12?
A 12. Okay. Well, a lot has happened. You, even with the 12, you do remember that giving the grenades recipe to Nalia was something that Laramendus did. Laramendus, you do remember, with your 21, that shortly after you passed along the information, like, you gave this to her, and she said that she would find a way to figure out how it works, and then she told you that, you know, extra parts and all that. That was another conversation. The third conversation was when she said, I need to get out of here, meet me in Tuca. One of the things that had happened was that she had been made to produce a bunch of them and give the recipe to the Mages Guild.
Yeah.
On orders from Sivan.
So then Larmanus would, I think, still saying, I assume that the army has someone from the guild that was able to produce them is in line with what Laramendus would say. So, yeah.
It is. I'm not saying that you've said anything wrong. I'm just letting you know that, you know, a lot has happened, so it's reasonable to not remember details, but your character does remember that there was this point where it was made clear the general magical community has this now.
And Laramendus knows that these, while not like cheap to make, are not extremely difficult to make.
No,
right?
no. You from what Nalia told you after she kind of cracked it was that because of their single use nature is as much a part of it as anything. They're once you have the correct alloy of the metal used, then it's just go. It's very easy.
Yeah.
The gems are probably the hardest thing to come by after the alloying. The rest is just being able to translate what is effectively a spell scroll onto the surface of this thing.
Yeah. So the gem and having enough craftspeople to do that work.
Yeah. But with everything that you've seen and heard from Tatsuya recently, you imagine that while you've encountered times where the different branches of the Mages Guild don't always share all of their information even with each other, it seems that the influence exerted here in the given, catastrophe looming, this is something that has been widely shared to maximize the production.
Yeah. I think they also had a surprising amount of magic weapons, at least for basic troops. I think we saw, right?
Mm-hmm. They had at least enchanted +0 weapons, making them magical, which is all you need.
I bet Tatsuya's army has the boot mage. This is where he is. I love him so much. Laramendus doesn't know this man, but
you knew it would happen someday.
Boots are important, okay?
They wear
+0 boots. It's the way to go.
It is.
They also had a surprising amount of magical weapons for basic troops, which seems to me like they have some people who are capable of enchanting and have some way that they have acquired some residuum. Again, those rituals were shared with people at the university and Nalia, and a few other places. Did I share them in the Temple of Ione and Duca?
Yes, because you told me you were very thorough about the information you gave them. The third time you went to give them information.
Yeah.
You also know...
I'm not surprised that I just wanted to make sure that I had.
Yeah, I mean, you also know that Nalia has a close relationship with Kalimdar and Tuka, and so she likely gave him that information.
They likely either have some mages here capable of doing so, or are continuing to use their associates with the guild. I hope when they got a residuum, they didn't destroy something that was historically important. The easiest way to get it would be to find something extremely powerful magically, and then use that, destroy that, and then use the residuum to do extremely basic enchants on weapons to give to the troops, so that they would all have magic weapons. But
on that topic, have any of you seen any of the scales lately?
Physically, Sam believes the answer to that is no. Laramendus would.
I think the only scale you've had the opportunity to physically lay eyes on would be the scale of Widemir, and even that, he was pretty trying to make sure nobody saw it.
Yep.
We do know some information regarding at least Shisharan's scale, though.
Mm-hmm.
Just curious, because given who's done the deconstructing and his general goal, that seems like it might be his first choice.
Interesting prospect. I am, given the divine nature of the item in question, I'm not positive that it could be destroyed with this ritual. I'm not positive that it couldn't be. It'd be actually interesting if to test with our method of finding them. Just to know. But Laraman just looks at Yukikaze when he says that.
Sorry, I have a bit of background noise here. What was that again?
Laramendas had said that when there was the prospect of using the disenchanting ritual to destroy these things, after Laramendas had said that he wasn't sure if it could be done, it would be an interesting thing to ask in a commune.
Well,
What was he said that it would be interesting to use our method of finding them to see if there was some indication that things were bad. But after, like, at this point, Laramendas cocks his head and, like, looks like he's listening to something.
Yukikaze, you remember that the pendant you have is capable of being used to find the scales.
yes.
So you could just pull it out and try and locate each one and make sure it actually points somewhere to see if one had been perhaps destroyed.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
As Cyrus has suggested might have happened.
Oh, yeah, that was what Laramendas was implying.
I know, I was helping.
Sorry.
Well, maybe this numbskull Yukikaze is supposed to figure that out.
Hey, he's not that dumb.
Wow.
I had you use the thing for that purpose like 3 days ago.
I think someone here would disagree.
Good.
So, all right, I get what you're saying. So you want me to do that now?
I don't know that there's any direct benefit to having the information now as opposed to a bit later, unless that will impact our decision here.
Hello, guys.
That is indeed the other thing that we need to discuss. However,
they're not. No one's saying anything, so I'm just gonna do it anyways. So I'll bust it out, Tristan, and I'll do my thing.
Okay. You
Bust it out.
pull out the pendant, and again, as I told you last session, the thing is warm and kind of vibrating as you draw it out of your out of your shirt from under the armor. And as you place it in your hand, you can see that while all of the points of the star are illuminated, the blue point is pulsing, like it's dimming and then brightening.
I know what that means. So what does that mean again?
It has something to do with the scale of the blue dragon. You can, if you want, because that one's actually, like, doing something, you could interface with it such that you tell it to locate the blue scale.
Yeah, I can touch that point and it will do a thing.
Yeah, so as you touch the point on the star, and you hold your palm out flat, the star rises up and spins around a couple of times. Its chain just clinking over. before the point, the glowing blue point, which is pulsing, settles, seeming to point just east-northeast and downward at a low grade, like toward the water. And it pulses rhythmically as you do this. And you note that the pulsing is quick, like, you think of magic item pulsing, it's, maybe 1 hertz, 1 pulse a second. This is going at, like, 10 pulses per second. Tuck, 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 tuck.
This is like a metal detector.
I mean, kind of. It's not making a noise. It's pulsing with light, but yeah, you could think of it that way.
I think the blue scale's close by.
I think we are close enough to be within its sphere of interference, unfortunately. I just received a sending from Kazanari that was garbled in a way that a previous sending from her had been when she was close to one of the scales.
Well, it seems like all the scales are accounted for. We're close by one. And I'll put my pendant away.
You only check the blue scale, but you say they're all accounted for?
Alright, they were all glowing. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, I just have to press it to see. Okay.
So
yeah.
you're gonna tap each one?
Yeah.
Alright, so
It's just saying the blue, it was automatically doing the blue.
the blue was pulsing already, so, it encouraged you to touch it. And then it started flashing really fast and pointing possibly nearby. You press the purple one, which refers to the black dragon. It points more east-southeast and stays at about the same grade, but you notice that the pulsing on it is like 1 every 3 seconds.
Okay.
You press the white one, and that points almost directly south, same low grade, downward, and is pulsing like 1 every 5 seconds, maybe 6 seconds. The green scale points southwest, and at a slightly steeper downward pitch, and pulses about 1 every 2.5 to 3 seconds. And then pressing the red point on the star. Huh?
We already know the red's not unsealed, so we know it's...
The white's not unsealed. Not...
Oh,
white is... Yes, not unsealed. Double negatives.
White is the only sealed dragon currently.
Yeah.
At least to the best of our knowledge.
Fuck you. Okay. You press the red point, and it points... It kind of wobbles for a second, but then it settles into almost exactly the same orientation as the green point, and pulses with the same rhythm.
Alright. Now it seems like they're all accounted for.
There you go.
So there you go, everyone. Just all scales are still active. Some are farther than others, of course.
I do not know how you want to garble my response to her, but that is what I am trying to send.
Just can roll dice to see what words.
The army seems to have, like, I would think it would be like left us alone, but like then it's ending in or left you alone. She's okay. Is something a go? Is now a good time? The army seems to have left you alone. God damn it! Romanus looks around and says, "I figured it out too late." She knows that we're here. Kazanari is sending the garbling of it. I think that she said, "Is now a good time. The army seems to have left you alone." And I would like to respond. I don't want to send again. This is the best situation for you, isn't it? I'm right, aren't I? Lerman, this is like peeking up. I was thought that wasn't Tristan. I'm like Lerman is like peeking up, looking around.
You give me a perception roll.
See, I'm gonna use this one. That is a whopping.
Passive.
My passive is 16.
As you look around, scanning the area, nothing in the army seems anything. You don't see anybody poking out from any buildings, and your eyes kind of settle on Dale, who's still performing his ritual. You just see this curl of incense smoke rising, and it's as your eyes are distracted by this that you suddenly notice that through the incense smoke you can see like just the glint of a piece of metal that seems out of place on one of the ships. And as you kind of like focus your eyes there, like through the smoke going, no, what am I seeing? You kind of see like the black glove of a hand kind of come up and wave slowly back and forth before dipping back down.
I think that's them. Now the question is, can we go and speak with them?
What are you talking about?
The Tuca branch of the Platinum Sentinels is here on Storm Reef. Over there.
Okay. Got it.
How far away are they?
How far away is that boat?
It's over on the docks. Call it, 100 feet of walking. Not far. Very close. So, are you guys gonna go? Are you gonna continue to try and get Larmitus to be a little bit more elaborate about what is going on apparently in his head, or just go to where he's
Larmitus had elaborated. He said that the Tuca branch of the Platinum Sentinels is right over there.
And so, what are they doing here?
They came looking for Elsamanth's scale,
Okay.
which is close.
Is there a particular reason they're contacting you?
Because they can see me and wanted to know if now was a good time, I think. We've been communicating back and forth about the scales, although it's been a while since we had last spoken.
I see.
It is useful to keep up with the goings-on of groups of people.
Indeed.
Well, you like your information.
Did Larmitus point out where they are?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Jebel will just say, would it arouse suspicion if we went over to talk to them? Are they part of the army?
Maybe if they got all up at once, they might be like, "What the heck's going on?" But a couple of us go over there. Shouldn't be. I don't think it'd be a big deal.
Alright.
I suppose if we attempt to go there and we are stopped, we should not. But I think it would be beneficial to speak with them.
I
Just begin sending them away.
will I'm going to summon my familiar 30 feet in the air towards the boat.
Flying.
One day I will resummon Kyoko.
One
It's
day.
Scith, right?
I
It's
believe
good.
so, yes.
Okay.
It's good.
30 feet in the air. Alright, so, Skith appears, where you, say. He, kind of awkwardly begins flapping his wings as he realizes he's not appearing on a solid surface as you normally summon him. And he says, okay, what do you need me for?
I telepath to him to head towards, and I give the description of whichever ship it is that
Okay.
Larmendis.
Alright, he quickly flies over there and begins circling it. When he's in range, he telepaths. There's a couple of Dragonborn on the ship. They seem to be conversing.
I tell them to land on the railing near enough them.
Alrighty. Okay, he does that.
Is he still within 100 feet?
He can put himself within 100 feet and do that, yes. They're looking at me. They're giving me bread.
Oh, eat it if you want.
I don't like bread. I'm a carrion eater. Bread's okay,
Then don't
though.
eat it if you don't want.
This bread's okay, though.
It's like murder okay. It's like, why are you telepathing with your mouth? What?
So, do you head over that way?
Me? Or...
The group. I mean, Laramendis said that he has begun.
Yeah, Laramendis is beginning to move in that direction.
So, group, are you following him?
I suppose.
I'm just going to telepath to Skith. Did we ever teach you how to speak?
I mean, you taught me to mimic some sounds. I can say hello,
Okay, say
and
hello.
follow me. You want me to use one of those?
Not follow me, no. Did I teach you how to say wait there?
Yeah, I can pull that one off. Wait, in what
Then these-
language?
Common.
I'll do my best.
I just hear Skid say, "Go fuck yourself."
After a few seconds, he goes, they gave me more bread.
Wait here, got it. Go fuck yourself. Raiken will follow.
Okay.
Laramendis.
I'm going to follow as well.
Okay, Cyrus?
Yeah, I'm still trying to get get my feet under me from being gone for apparently a day.
Yeah, a lot happened in that, 36 hours.
Oh man.
Yeah, 36 hours. Because they traveled. Right, it's late in the day now because they teleported, and so it is later than when they left. So, you're following, not following, or you
I'm
want to ask
following.
them more questions?
Following, not following.
They definitely seem to have brushed off the fact that you were gone.
Yeah, and I'll address that later. But right now, I'm just gonna follow and hope somebody else gives me answers.
Okay.
Because this group's not very good at that.
Okay. So, you approach the gangway to this boat off of the docks, and Kazunari and Dusty appear at the top of the gangway. They seem to be checking and making sure that they're more or less hidden by the features of the boat from the army that is dining, and they hold out a hand to let you know to stop at the bottom of the gangway. And Dusty starts off and says, "Well, it's good to see you all, actually. I wasn't sure you'd still be alive."
I'm glad to see you as well. I apologize about my response to the sending. I realized what had been intended immediately after responding.
All of you, as you approach, feel a pressure. Like, not pain or anything fully tangible, but almost like it makes it a little hard for you to mentally focus. It's like a pressure on your mind, a pressure on your existence. There's something here, something nearby that is just... It feels... I want to say wrong because it does not feel like the rest of the world, but it's not like you're going, oh my god, there's an evil presence. It's powerful, though. And
It's just something like heavy in the air, but in a
yeah,
weird way.
like the air is heavy, and you see Kazunari kind of put a hand over the end of her snout to kind of cover a smile, which is impossible with the size of a dragonborn's mouth, and the fact that reptiles always seem to be smiling. She just says, "Yes, I figured that the sending would be a little bit messed up. I am glad you understood, though. In any event," she looks to Dusty, who simply nods to her, and she looks back to you and says, "That was quite the battle you've just survived with the Leviathan."
The army here did most of everything there. We were occupied by a group of warlocks.
Dusty kind of chuckles, says, "Your life's never easy, is it?"
One day I hope it to be.
You see him, like, hand another piece of bread toward the large raven near him, who kind of, like, looks at it for a few seconds, kind of sinks his head a little bit, and then pulls it from his fingers. Well, we managed to remain undetected by it, and it seems to have had its fill, at least for the moment. It's rather a loud telepather, isn't it?
Kraken?
What did I say? Leviathan. Yes, I meant Kraken. Kraken. Leviathan is a different kind of creature. It's not an entirely inaccurate word to use, except that Leviathans are a different kind of monster. In any event, yes, the Kraken. We had been hoping to eventually find you here. Weren't sure when, and the army certainly made it dangerous to come ashore. We have the scale of Elsamenth. Do you have something somewhere you can put it? Do you want us to take it somewhere?
Don't know. I'm trying to think where would be a good place that we would have access to put it. I don't know right now.
You've each got a bag of holding.
That is true. Do we know how it would impact with the bag of holding?
Nope.
Alarminus says that.
Well, we haven't had a chance to experiment. Kazunari kind of looks over at him, like sighs, and says, "Unfortunately, a lot of our supplies, including the one bag of holding that our chapter had access to, were lost when Shisharan attacked."
Well, shall we find out? Thurman just seems like a little like concerned, but a little eager.
Dusty, seems to be eager about this too, possibly for a different reason. Kazunari, you see her pull out this messenger bag she has slung around her shoulder, flips the flap on it, and pulls out this glass-looking sphere that has a blue tinge to it. And she sets it gently on the gangway, which is, a ramp, and waits for you to get ready to catch it at the other end.
I mean, just holds up one finger and makes sure that out of his bag he removes some vials, which are the potions. His book is in his hand. What else does he actually care about there?
You have Residuum?
And he has the Residuum. Everything else in there he's fine with something happening to.
As far as we've seen, it doesn't seem to permanently damage magic items. It just temporarily interrupts their magic periodically. That's why the sendings are garbled the way they are, is losing the words because the magic is temporarily being shut off. But she's still like
magic items.
I'm sorry, what?
Some of us have magic items that have active effects. Like, would Laramentus now, occasionally his intelligence dips a little bit? And it takes
just
him
ash
slightly
falls.
Longer. She says,
You want to find out?
My theory is that once it is in the pocket dimension, it should not be able to affect the bag from that side. But you may find that if you try to drop it in during a pulse, it just goes into a regular bag and not into the bag of holding.
How can we determine that a pulse is occurring?
Well, magic items turn off. She just kind of shrugs. I have no other way of telling. If you continue to feel this pressure, she just kind of waves at the air, after dropping it in your bag, then it's probably not in the pocket dimension. You have to be very close.
Nods.
You have to be very close to it for it to feel this way. When I send it to you, and there's about 30 feet between you as they're up on the boat, you'll see it's much stronger that close. I'm not currently wearing any magic items that affect me on a continuous basis because it was disorienting.
Lerman just nods. Vendar, are you prepared to catch it?
Catch it. Toss it to me?
She's gonna.
I mean, she had looked like she was gonna toss it, right?
She looks like she's going to let it roll down the gangway.
Okay. Then, I don't say that then. I prepare to stop it.
Okay. She finally removes her hand and it begins rolling, and you can hear this clinking, clanking, as it is very clearly made of some kind of crystal material. Catches the light, and you can see that there, within it, as it's rotating towards you, there seem to be two relatively flat objects crossed in an X shape within. And as it rolls down towards you, you do feel that pressure growing almost exponentially to the point that you almost feel yourself kind of dip to the side as the pulse does shut off your your circlet of intelligence, and it is like a stomach churning feeling as that happens, as it turns off momentarily and then turns back on almost instantly.
Lerman just pales.
Yeah, you actually
It looks more confused than he's looked in a while for just a second.
You do see the light around you fluctuate as Ash seems to be turning off for a fraction of a second at a time, dropping, just a few millimeters through the air and then coming back to life. And finally, the thing hits the bottom and you catch it, and it feels heavy, like an iron shot put when you first grasp it. And it's cold. But as you hoist it up, it seems to almost become lighter. And what you're holding in your hand appears to be a glass sphere, almost like a perfect pour of glass crystal, completely transparent. And within this globe of glass, you can see the scale of a blue dragon. I think it was oh man, I wrote them down. So, scale of Elsamenth. It appears to be a blue dragon scale, literally collided with, and I mean, they are inhabiting the same space. They are occupying the same space. Like, this seems physically impossible. It doesn't look like they've been cut and put together. They seem to be collided on some cosmic level. These two scales crossed over each other, orthogonally through one another. A blue scale of a dragon and a copper dragon scale. And they're just perfectly centered in this glass sphere. Like, you look at this thing and you can tell, just almost instantly upon looking at it, that, humanoid hands did not forge this thing. It defies physical manufacture.
This thing is unsettling. I go to drop it in my bag as soon as if my gear is working, if I feel smart, and Ash's light is there, I'm gonna drop it in.
Okay.
Because I don't like this feeling.
Yes, you open the bag, and you do see that, like, as you first open it, you can see the items in there, and then it goes dark, and you just see the inside of a, the satchel that is your bag of holding, and just for a split second, and then all of a sudden you see the items again, and you can see that this is happening rhythmically, like, it turns off for about 0.2 of a second once per second.
Mm-hmm.
So you are able to time it. You drop it in when you can see the items within. And then you can't see any of the items, including the scale. And then they come back. But as soon as you allow the bag of holding to close, thereby cutting off the demi-plane, the pocket dimension, you find that the pulses stop affecting the rest of your gear, including Ash.
Interesting. It's going to make getting anything out of that bag a problem.
You know that a bag of holding can be turned inside out and it spills all of its contents.
It is true.
Well, at least that theory seems to have proven out, Kazunari says hopefully. I feel better already.
Things do seem more comfortable now.
All of you felt like the air thickened as the thing rolled towards you. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't really want to know what it would feel like to be in the presence of multiple of these at the same time.
He just says, I don't think that the people who devised this lock and key were too concerned about the side effects of those immediately present, being that their purpose was much more grand. But
How I was going to say, how else have the rest of the Platinum Sentinels fared in your journey? I assume I can currently only see the two of them?
yes,
Okay.
it's just Kazunari and myself here now. Those that survived the attack by Shisharan are holding down what's left of the fort in Tuka. They are holding on to Shisharan's scale. We were able to retrieve it. It seems that gratitude toward one's saviors is not really in the vocabulary of the dragons. There were... after a pause, he goes on to say that there were several partial kobold remains where we found the scale. Through the silence, Kazunari just sort of, narrows her eyes at Laramandus and says, I'm hoping you're wondering why she didn't take it with her.
Do you have theories?
Only just. She probably felt that it would be lost in the sands out there. We only found it because we arrived so soon after their ritual that raised her and the storms had stopped.
Where did you find Elsaminths? That wouldn't have been hidden in the sands. Did you swim? And look over at the water?
Yes, Dusty says. We had to swim down to where Elsaminth's remains had rested. It had been guarded by the Tritons for a long time, and let me tell you, they were not happy to see us at first. Kazunari continues the story, saying, they thought that we were with those who had come and fought their way to the remains to resurrect Elsaminth. It took some negotiation to get them to understand our relation to it. It's hard to explain you're part of a secret organization and have people believe that. They wouldn't have heard of it.
I'm glad the negotiation was successful.
Yes. Well, unfortunately, as you can see, gestures at the city, we were too late, and the chapter here, we have seen neither hide nor scale of them. Foolish that they kept the scale and the remains so close together, but... well, I guess we've all been made fools, haven't we?
It was a difficult task.
Tell me, one of you, do any of the dragons remain sealed?
The white one.
Wintermure's still sealed.
And there's still hope. Ah, I thought for certain all of the chapters must have fallen. The attack was so... someone knows much more than they should. Do you know who?
Tatsuya.
Both of they look at each other. They say, Tatsuya?
He's the one who's been having the dragons raised.
A man?
A dragonborn.
Dragonborn.
You just
doing it under
yes, same thing to me.
the guidance of the champion of Bahamut. Says he's doing Bahamut's will.
And he might as well.
Kazunari kind of scratches up her eyebrow, her eye ridge, and says, We had entertained such theories that there would be champions of Bahamut that did not follow in Shagrazir's footsteps. Of course, we'd hoped we'd be wrong. Well, you have blue scale now. We have the black scale. You need only the other two, and then we can finally seal these dragons up again. We'll have to find some way of refounding these chapters of the Platinum Sentinels, but I suppose in comparison to the task of defeating the dragons, that one will be easy.
I do have thoughts on how we might be able to hide these things, or at least one of them.
Excellent.
In an interesting manner.
Well, if it's better than what we've done so far, our methods have been mundane but effective. None of us could have foreseen this. Not even the Great Warrior himself.
It did take the information of a god to take down the sects that have fallen. And they did last quite a while, so.
We've kept our distance from the island just because we're not entirely certain about the army, and it was very large. We did not want to bring the scale among so many people. But it seems from our couple days' observation that they are training. They have some command of magic, and what little we've been able to tell, mostly through, he kind of turns to Kazunari and she says, lip reading. They seem to be wanting to fight the dragons. So
their intent is to kill them.
Okay, and then you conceal them.
The army's intent is not to seal them.
They
the
both look, like, stare blankly at you, just blinking, like, what other option could there be?
The army's intent is to kill them to bring forth Tiamat and then kill her.
That's ambitious. Kazunari finishes it.
Bahamut's stake in allowing for this to have happened.
No, it makes a sort of sense. Like I said, we had entertained the idea of a champion who would follow this plan of Bahamut's. We just, again, hoped that they would know it was foolish.
Well, we're dealing with his brother, and kind of like point at Raiken with a thumb.
Well, that's legit.
They can argue that.
Even Raiken's just like, yeah, I can't fight that. That's true.
What do you plan to do? We don't have the numbers to support you, but maybe we can find others for you. Or maybe you can just springboard off of their success if they take down a dragon. You seal it, that will remove the key from the lock.
I don't know that we could be quiet enough for long enough while doing so to actually benefit from that. Because the ritual is an hour.
The ritual takes an hour.
and I would be unsurprised if
But if you
they
succeed
are
at
intending to
even
keep an eye on
one,
things.
if you succeed at even one, then they can't succeed in bringing out Tiamat.
Armandus nods, thoughtful, and it's like, I'm not sure. I would think that the army is going to be keeping an eye on any of the ones that fall, at least periodically enough that trying to pull that over on them would be difficult, and then getting the scale away, even should we succeed in doing that, getting the scale away and then safe would be extremely difficult.
I agree. I feel like the only way we'd have any possibility of doing it would be while they're fighting one of the other dragons, and it would be quite telling if some of us, even one of us, was absent from the fight if we were to fight with them.
And if we manage to seal one of them only, well, before getting away, then we are currently in the exact same position we are now, of 4 dragons running about and one of them sealed.
Cousin Ari is going to... You see her kind of like looking down at her hands as she's steepling her fingers and drumming them in thought. She says, "Do they know about the time limit?"
Out of character, Tatsuya had implied knowledge of it. I don't think he had stated to us what it was.
He had not stated to you what it was. He had
but
implied
he
knowledge of
knew
it.
that there was, it would seem that they have some knowledge of that, although how accurate it is, I'm not sure, since I don't know I don't know myself, right?
No, the party's never been told this.
Okay.
Like, Tatsuya was the
I do not
first
know
one to
myself.
talk about it.
Cool. The accuracy of their information I can't say, since I myself don't know, and he did not share more than an implication that he was aware of the existence of one.
Okay. Well, it seems that... And she looks to Dusty as she begins forming his words, and he seems a little apprehensive, but then you see him close his eyes and nod. It seems a lot of information, specifics, details about these rituals was hidden away, not made general to even the Platinum Sentinels. Maybe to discourage people misusing the information, or if somebody got it in their head to try something like this, it would fail. But before we left, I had to try and salvage what I could from our libraries, and I found some things that... buried in our older tomes, in Old Draconic, but clear enough to be obviously important, so I spent a little time while we were traveling through the desert translating. There is a time limit. The dragon's souls, the children of Tiamat, the lock and key metaphor isn't just that. It's not just a metaphor. It's something that actually happens in hell. When they die, their soul goes into a lock to try and turn the mechanism to release Tiamat. But it only stays there for about 2 hours. Then it's released and able to return to its body. That's why you have a 2-hour limit to perform the ritual to seal them. Because after that they could return before your seal is in place.
It is a terrifyingly small window.
It means that all 5 have to die within 2 hours. It's terrifyingly small, but it's a double-edged sword. It's good for us, too. If they can't defeat all 5 dragons that fast, they can't summon Tiamat.
So we can stall them?
Well, if they can't kill all 5 dragons that fast, then the dragons are gonna wipe us all out. They're like our last hope.
She gestures at Laramantis. We've given you one of the 4 scales you need to seal them. But if they know about the time limit, she says, turning her attention back to Laramantis from Vendar, then they may already have planned for it.
How likely is it that they would have learned of the existence of the time limit without having gained the knowledge of what it is?
She kind of throws up her hands like, how the fuck should I know? And Dusty kind of says, if they know everything that they've shown they know about the Platinum Sentinels, the most secret organization in the history of Amaranta, then I would assume they know this.
So the issue, though, is still... let's say they fail to finish the job within the 2 hours, which is not unlikely. We're still in the situation where there are, I suppose, possibly fewer dragons unsealed if we could manage to get one of them, or maybe 2, depending on their speed and how many scales we've acquired, sealed. There are still the dragons rampaging, and everyone here is dead. And those of us who are sealing them likely to follow. Which still has the issue of getting the scales away.
You could send them with us. You could take it back. Hide it. Try. Or you could do whatever you suggested and hide it better. But the rest of us are eventually going to have to deal with these dragons. We're not dissuaded. Dalgrazir and his entourage managed to seal them. Dalgrazir sealed Shasharan on his own, before he formed his legendary party. So, we may not be him, but we've been serving this cause our entire lives, or at least as much of it as is pertinent. We're devoted to this cause. We'll find a way. You can always trust the Platinum Sentinels. Everything I know, Kazanari says, I compiled onto this page. And she, holds it out to Skith and just sort of, waves it in front of his beak. Come on. Come on. And Skith, you hear him in your mind. He's like, is she making me a messenger?
I think so. Bring it to Laramantis.
Fine. He, finally takes it and flies it over to Lair. It's notated in Draconic, and it explains everything that she's learned about the ritual, the souls, the dragons, Shagrazir. It's cramped writing. There's a lot tucked onto this page, both sides. I hope that helps you.
Laramendis is fairly distracted reading it.
Dusty.
Or at least, skimming it.
Yeah. Dusty clears his throat and looks at Vendar. Says, you seem to want to fight the dragons to take on Tiamat. Am I reading that correctly?
It seems like the dragons are pretty much already here. That's what this whole army was formed for. They certainly seem to think they can take it. I wouldn't think it was a bad thing if Team had died. My worry is their ability to actually do it.
I'm going to tell you 2 things, then. 1. The dragons were all here 1,000 years ago. And they got taken down and put in those, well, you know what I mean, sealed by those scales. That worked. The second thing I'll tell you is that this isn't the entirety of the army. At least, probably not. We have been maintaining communication with our branch in Tuca, who has been keeping as good an ear to the ground as they can. And word came, not too long ago, maybe 4 days, 5, that Tuca was on edge because the Empire of the Four Queens was mobilizing a navy. Something they haven't done in a while. They've always had a powerful army. They used to fight big wars with it. Then something happened. They lost all of it in a big stupid battle some 500 years ago. And,
Hermanus pointedly looks at Raiken. And then looks back at the paper.
Raiken starts whistling and looking everywhere else.
Oh, like you know what happened.
He's literally wearing the armor that...
Your butt.
But does he know? He can't know. We found that out in the...
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, so never mind. He's like, why are you looking at me? I wasn't alive back then.
We know stories about the armor and its previous wielder.
Well, of course this armor can take down armies by itself. It's amazing. It's core.
That was her own army. I go back to the paper.
No comments.
Anyway.
Sure, they had it coming.
It didn't stop them, he continues on, marching ever forward, from rebuilding their army, but it did temper their aggressions for the next few centuries. Empire of the Four Queens would be a powerful